Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now here I am to begin reviewing the rest of the DC Extended Universe films so far. Yeah, like I said, I have already talked about Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I talked about those like several years ago, so yeah, if you want to see my videos for those two films, like you can go check those out. Yeah, and so yeah, so now here I am to like start reviewing the rest of the films that have come out so far in honor of the new Flash movie that's coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, and so starting off with the rest of the films, here I am with a review for Suicide Squad. So yeah, so this film this was released back in 2016. And yeah, this came out like about 4 months after Batman vs Superman did. Yeah, and yeah, and when this came out, it did get like kind of like people really were like very mixed on this film. Critics once again weren't like too kind on this film. This film only has like a 26% on the tomato meter. Yeah, and audiences really did feel like kind of split about this film. Some people liked it, and others just like really just found it to be just not very good and another letdown by DC. So yeah, so people really did like feel very mixed about this film. Yeah. So yeah, and I did actually see this film in the theater when it was released. Yeah, and what did I really think about it? Well, I really don't know. This film just, I guess I wasn't really I didn't really think too much of this film, to be honest. I mean, when I saw it, I thought it was like just fine, but yeah, there was nothing really about it that really did like stick with me. Yeah, it I hadn't actually like watched this film since I did see it in the theater until I just did watch it to make this review. So yeah, and I really didn't really remember anything about it. So yeah, so this film really didn't really strike anything with me. Yeah, I really I didn't really think too fondly of it, to be honest. I mean, I didn't hate it, but yeah, just nothing about it really did like stick with me. So yeah, and that really was like how it was with a lot of people. Yeah. So I don't know. So this film is kind of some people have really kind of like said like this is the Guardians of the Galaxy film of the DC extended universe. And yeah, and that is kind of like how it really does seem to come off because yeah, Guardian this is once again like sort of well, it's like kind of like similar in its setup to Guardians of the Galaxy. It's about a bunch of different characters that really do form up a team that are, and they really are kind of like seen. Well, yeah, they are actually criminals. Yeah, this movie features several of DC's um known villains. It features characters such as Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Hang, El Diablo, Killer Croc, Huck, and yeah, and it also does feature a Slipknot, and yeah, and probably what one of the things this film is most known for is of course it does feature the Joker. Though yeah, it is a very unpopular Joker and not very loved. So yeah, and you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, so this features a lot, several of DC's villains really just teaming up and forming a group to carry out mission, and in return for their prison sentences being shortened. Yeah, and that really is what the film really is about. The DC villains I just mentioned are put together to uh, carry out a Black Ops mission. And yeah, and so yeah, so that really is what the film really is about, and most of the film really is just all the villains really just uh out on this mission, and yeah, and they come across some other things along the way, and then yeah, then it kind of shows how they later on are carrying out this mission to really just try to redeem themselves from like some of the bad things that they've done. Yeah, and that really is like the main story for this film, really. Yeah. So there's not really anything that interesting about the film. So I think that really is the main reason why this film really like wasn't like very beloved by a lot of people. And it really just comes off as like the the characters really are just like on this mission. They're like and it shows how like they're just like doing these like things and they're talking, and to be honest, it's not that interesting. So the film really is like kind of boring. Like as I watched it, like I really was just like kind of bored seeing this. Like what happens in this film really is not very interesting. So I really do feel that is like the reason why this film really like got the reaction that it did from everybody. And one of the like the main problem I think with this film is that like why is this the third film in the universe? Like you follow up like Batman versus Superman and a big story arc with the death of with Superman dying with this film, like come on, like, and even like Batman versus Superman ended like it had like Bruce talking to Wonder Woman, and they were talking about like finding the others like Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman to like form the Justice League, and you follow it up with this. Like, really, like this really doesn't contribute anything to the formation of the Justice League. So, like, why are you having this as the third film? Like this is like the first phase pretty much of the DC extended universe, and this really should be like focusing on forming the Justice League and introducing the characters, much like how the first phase of the MCU really did like focus on like forming the Avengers and like introducing the characters. And here like you just have like a totally like unrelated story that doesn't even have anything to do with forming the Justice League. So I feel that really is like this film's main problem. Like this was just like the wrong film to do as the third film for this universe. Like you should have been doing stuff like introducing like a Aquaman, like have the Aquaman movie come out here, or have the Flash movie come out here. You're having this be the third film, like instead of like focusing on introducing the members of the Justice League. So that really is this film's main problem. And like I said, this film really just it's not really that interesting. I mean, some stuff is cool and some of the performances are kind of nice. Like in this film you have Will Smith as Deadshot. You have Margot Robbie, of course, as Harley Quinn, and people really do seem to like her. And you also do have like Joel Kinnaman, Viola Davis, Jai Courtney, Jay Hernandez, and others in here. And of course, you also do have Jared Leto as the Joker. And like I said, Jared Leto, like everybody has really talked about Jared Leto's Joker, like how he really is not a good Joker, and he really is just like he totally just messes up the character and everything. So Jared Leto really just this is not one of his best performances. And this really is not one of the greatest Jokers ever. Like, I'm sure, like, coming off the heels of Heath Ledger's phenomenal performance, I think, like, pretty much everybody said that how, like, Heath Ledger really couldn't be topped as the Joker. So I'm sure, like, people really were expecting, like, this to be, like, a step down, but not this bad. So Jared Leto just, he really does, like, really, like, make a huge step down from Heath Ledger as the Joker. So that is another one of the film's bad points. And I guess it's also worth pointing out that like I guess like one of the reasons this film really didn't turn out that great was because like apparently like the script did undergo like some major revision, and a lot of like good stuff was like taken out of the film. So I guess that is like another contribution to this film really like not turning out so well. So the problems with this film really are like pretty apparent. It pretty much is everything that I have like already talked about. Like the story is not really that interesting, and it doesn't really contribute anything to the formation of the Justice League. Jared Leto as the Joker. You can kind of like the problems of this film really are like very apparent. here, and they are like very present. So yeah, so I don't think I really need to like go like too much into the problems of the film. Because yeah, I think like a lot of people really do know what the problems are. Yeah, so yeah, so this film really is not really like all that great, but it's not really like horrible. Like it isn't like an absolute atrocity, and it is cool to see some of this stuff. Like seeing like these like popular DC villains like join together. It is kind of cool, even though like it's not really like that interesting to like the story really is not that interesting, yeah. So it does have like some cool things about it, but yeah, it really just like does come down to like the problems that I have already mentioned that really like does work against this film. So yeah, so I just really don't know what else to really say, but yeah, it is like just like a film that really just it really is just kind of here. It really is kind of like a standalone story, and yeah, and it doesn't really like have any much contribute to anything else in the universe. So yeah, so I just really don't know what else to really say about it. So I guess I would probably give it I'll give this film 2.5 stars out of 4. Like I said, it's not horrible, but just yeah, it really did like come across as kind of like a letdown to a lot of people, just like Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman were to a lot of people. So yeah, so DC Extended Universe really did get off to a rocky start, as I'm sure a lot of people do know. Yeah, this was really just in the wrong people's hands when it started. Heard it, yeah. So, oh yeah. So I just really don't know what else I can really say about it. So yeah. So I guess I'll just talk a little bit about the premise of the film. So yeah. So it is set after the events of Batman vs Superman and Superman's death. Yeah. Then it shows how like um this intelligence officer Amanda Waller her then like it wants the U.S. government to like greenlight a team known as Task Force X, which consists of like criminals and supervillains, and they want to use them to like combat metahuman threats that's under Officer Waller's control with nanite bombs that are implanted in each criminal's neck. And yeah, and apparently like these like bombs do have the power to actually um destroy the criminals by detonating if the rebels do like try to if they do try to escape or rebel. Yeah. But yeah, if they do succeed, then their sentences will be shortened. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And it's like showing how like there's like an American archaeologist named Dr. June Moon that is like actually possessed by this witch named Enchantress. Yeah. And apparently she Enchantress is actually controlled old by Officer Waller by her magical heart being seized, and if it's struck, she's actually wounded. So then, um, Colonel Rick Flag, who is like one of Officer Waller's subordinate, yeah, her, yeah, she's like her like Colonel. It shows how like he's in love with Doctor Moon, and then she made him like a member of a Task Force X, but then um, Officer Waller eventually ended up being betrayed by Enchantress. That's by her like conquering Midway City, and humans ended up being like transformed into monsters. And Enchantress summoned her brother Incubus to destroy mankind. And so then uh, Officer Waller then formed a Task Force X to stop her using the inmates from the Belle Reve Penitentiary, and which consists of a Deadshot, who was a hitman, and he's also like a he wants to like be like a in have a better connection with his daughter Zoe, because it's shown how like in this film how when he once had an encounter with Batman. Yeah, and in this film, like Ben Affleck does have a cameo in the film as Batman. Though yeah, it's not a main role, and it is like very brief. Yeah, and we also do have like an appearance of Ezra Miller as Flash, but that's also very brief in this movie as well. So yeah, so I guess you could say this was technically Ezra Miller's first appearance as Flash, unless you do count like the footage that is briefly shown in Batman vs Superman of him. Yeah, but yeah, this is like his first official appearance in the DC Extended Universe. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's showing how like he wants to like have a better connection with his daughter Zoe. Yeah, and that is like kind of like a subplot in this film. Yeah, and yeah, and you also do have Harley Quinn, and it's showing how like in this film how like she he like was once a psychiatrist that was like trying to like work with Joker, but then yeah, she ended up like a Joker ended up like messing with her, and she like became like the like Joker's girlfriend. But yeah, it's showing how now like she's like away from him. Yeah, as well as Captain Boomerang, El Diablo, Killer Croc, and Slipknot. Yeah, and yeah, and it is kind of cool to see Killer Croc in the film. Though his appearance like is kind of like a seems a little off, kind of similar to the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man. Doesn't really entirely look like a croc, but yeah, yeah, that's not really the uh, focus of the film. Yeah, anyway, and Colonel Flag then led the team out of prison, and they're also joined by one of his associates, Katana, who is a Japanese swordsman. Yeah, and it's also like showing how like Officer Waller and Colonel Flag are actually like hiding his relationship with Doctor Moon. Yeah, yeah, and then it shows how like as they're like like out on the hunt for Enchantress, like they get in run into a bunch of obstacles. Like at one point, like their helicopter ends up being shot down once they arrive in Midway City, and they have to travel on foot. Yeah. Then at one point, Captain Boomerang like convinces Slipknot to take off claiming that like the bombs are a ruse. But then as Slipknot like wandered off, eventually Colonel Flag activated his bomb and killed him. And then eventually then as like they were like finding their way through like some soldiers that were mutated by Enchantress, they eventually then discovered that the target of their mission was actually Officer Waller herself, and she was actually like trying to cover her involvement in Enchantress' attack. But then eventually then uh, um, Joker ended up attacking Officer Waller and her squad as they were waiting helicopter extraction. Then like Joker then like used some tech that he stole from an Argus laboratory. He then like ended up disabling Harley's bomb and then like helped her escape from the rest of the team. Yeah, but eventually like Joker's helicopter ended up being shot down by Waller. But yeah, Harley ended up like surviving in the shoot down, and yeah, she eventually then reunited with the rest of the group after she believed Joker was killed in the shoot down. Yeah, I mean yeah, but then later on, as a Deadshot ended up like finding the top secret files was from Waller and discovered Colonel Flag's relationship with Dr. Moon, they eventually ended up abandoning Colonel Flag, and then eventually El Diablo then like revealed like his true he revealed that like apparently like his powers and his lifestyle as a criminal were actually the cause of the deaths of his entire family. Yeah. So then eventually they ended up being relieved of their mission by a Flag. But then the squad then like realized that they do have the opportunity to actually prove themselves, and so then they set out to actually save Midway City from Enchantress. Yeah. And then they eventually then got their fight with Enchantress and launched an attack as a Killer Croc and Colonel Flag's squad of Navy SEALs planted a bomb beneath the subway that would ended up destroying an Incubus. Then El Diablo ended up sacrificing himself to uh, uh, keep Incubus in the right spot, and then Enchantress then being overpowered by the squad, she invited them to join her, but yeah, they were resistant to it. But Harvey was appeared to be tempted by it, but yeah, she was just set Enchantress up to get close enough to actually cut out her heart, and then eventually her heart ended up being crushed and killed her, and Dr. Moon ended up being released. And with the squad being victorious and completing their mission, Waller then deducted 10 years off of each of their prison sentences and fulfilled their various requests, such as Deadshot wanting to be, be able to see his daughter more, and we did see him actually with his daughter, kind of helping her with her homework and stuff. And we did see the other members of the squad getting some of their requests fulfilled as well. But it showed how a Captain Boomerang was just detained and none of his requests were actually relieved. Then it showed how Harley Quinn was back in her cell. But then it showed how Joker, it was revealed that he actually did survive the shoot down in the helicopter, and then he broke into the prison and rescued Harley and just said to them, then he just said it's time to go, and then just saw the two of them embracing each other, and then that's how the movie then ended. But then we then get the one thing that actually does contribute to the Justice League formation in the mid-credit scene of this film, where it's showing how we see Officer Waller and Bruce Wayne together, and as they were talking, Bruce Wayne said that he would protect her from legal consequences of the events in Midway City if she gives him government files on the metahuman community, which were files related to Flash and Aquaman. And then he revealed plans to contact them in order to build his own superhero team, which was of course the Justice League. Then as he was leaving, she was just implying that she knew he was Batman, but just advising him to stop working late nights. But he responded by telling her to shut down Task Force X, or they would do it for her. And that's how that scene ended. So that's the one thing in this film that actually does contribute to the formation of the Justice League, which continues what Bruce was talking to Wonder Woman about at the end of Batman vs. Superman. So that's the only thing. So like I said earlier, couldn't they have just done this, have this be have this movie actually be introducing one of those characters, such as Cyborg, Aquaman, or Flash? Couldn't they have, this movie have been that? That scene would have fit better in here. But this, like I said, this film really doesn't. The actual film doesn't really contribute anything to the formation of the Justice League. It really is just a standalone story. So why was this the third film in the universe? So like I said, the film really is not that interesting, but it's not horrible. Some stuff is kind of cool about it. It's cool to see these all these villains together, and some of the performances are decent, but others really are not so good, particularly Jared Leto as the Joker. So and like I said, the problems of this film are just very present. You can really see the problems of the film. It really is just, like I said, it's uninteresting. It contributes nothing to the Justice League, and I just really don't know what why they made the film the way they did, and apparently the script undergoing major revisions, and a lot of good things about it, a lot of the good stuff ended up being cut out. So I just really don't know what went wrong with it. But either way, still, it really didn't leave a big impact, and there's not really anything that interesting about it. So so like I said, I would probably give the film 2.5 stars out of 4. All right, yeah. So like I said, DC Extended Universe really is off to a very rocky start with its first three films, yeah. And yeah, and it would kind of like continue on as like these films did continue, yeah. But yeah, they did like in the opening phase of this DC Extended Universe, they did have like one great film, and that is was their next film. So yeah, so that's going to be coming up next in these reviews, yeah. But yeah, as far as this film goes, yeah, it's not really anything that great, so probably not worth really tracking down. But if you're curious enough, like if you are just like interested in seeing like some of the most popular DC villains coming together, then yeah, this film like you can at least like check the film out once to see that, and yeah, decide what you think about it. All right. So yeah, so I guess this is all I can really say about it. All right, so this is my review of Suicide Squad. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review, yeah, and stay tuned for more DC Extended Universe films coming up. And yeah, and like I said, up next we're gonna get to the one great one in the opening phase of the DC Extended Universe. All right, so yeah, stay tuned for that coming up next. All right, but I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.